and welcome to Think Ahead, a podcast from London Business School that brings you cutting-edge research, real-world analysis, and expert views on the most important issues and challenges facing businesses and their leaders today. I'm your host, Sergei Guriev, Professor of Economics and Dean at London Business School. Today we'll talk about digital marketing in the era of AI. As marketing pioneer Philip Kotler once said, marketing takes a day to learn, but unfortunately a whole lifetime to master. And today, that mastery is becoming even more complex. AI and automation are redefining the way businesses engage with their customers, making hyper-personalization, predictive analytics, and real-time marketing the new standard. But with rapid innovation and change come new challenges. How can businesses keep up? In this episode, we explore how AI is transforming marketing strategies, what businesses must do to stay ahead, and the ethical considerations that come with data-driven decision-making. To provide expert insights and help unpack those complexities, I'm joined today by two exceptional guests, Xu Zhang, Assistant Professor of Marketing at London Business School, and Alex Schultz, Chief Marketing Officer and Vice President of Analytics at Meta. Xu, Alex, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
to be here.
So the digital marketing landscape is evolving rapidly with AI, automation, data-driven strategy, transforming the way businesses engage with their consumers. What do businesses do now? How is AI making a difference in marketing? Sure.
Yeah. When I think about the impact of AI on digital marketing, I would think AI is trying to achieve three objectives. The first one is to achieve automation. The second one is the real-time responsiveness. And then the third one is about the scalability. And then if we think about where do those three objectives have been achieved within the different marketing functions, then typically when I teach digital marketing in my class, I like to go back to this fundamental standard framework that is 3C STP 4P. So for the 3C, it stands for the consumer, stands for the competition, as well as the company. That is the very basic market research which you need to do before you start to plan the marketing strategy. And then for the STP, that is at the center of the marketing strategy, that stands for first, you want to segment the whole market, and then you want to select which segment that you want to target, because here consumers are all different. They have different preferences, they have different consumer needs. And then based on that selected segment, the next step is you want to come up with a value proposition. You want to position your product to target that segment. So that is the marketing strategy. At that stage, you want to make sure that internally within the company, all the different departments are well aligned on that marketing strategy. If you think about one of them, like targeting, before in the old times, when we think about targeting, we're targeting a cohort. We're targeting like a big segment based on their age, their gender, their location. But today, what becomes different is we can use very rich individual level data based on their behavior, based on their kind of stated preferences, and then to target at individual level, at the right time, at the right place. So instead of that cohort-based targeting, we can do this kind of hyper-targeting. So that is at the strategy level. And then after you figure out the strategy, then moving on to the final marketing tactic, those are the 4 Ps. For the 4P, which stands for the price, the product, the place, and promotion. I can give you a lot of examples for each of them, but essentially for every single of those P, there are a lot of AI applications within digital marketing. Thinking about the dynamic pricing that you see for the airline price ticket or for the ride-hailing services, it's always like there is a background AI model, machine learning model that trying to get real-time data in regarding the demand and availability at a certain location, and then to give you what is the optimal price at that place.
Yeah, so it looks like AI is affecting every bit of a marketing strategy of every company. How does that work at Meta, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more practical and applied. So classic professor versus practitioner here. Yeah, I mean, from our side, the main thing is leveraging the hyper-targeting point that you're making in terms of looking at where we were when Apple introduced app tracking transparency, which I have a lot of opinions on how cynical that was.
I can imagine.
But when they introduced that, obviously we lost a lot of data for learning the outcomes that were being driven by marketing. What we've done subsequently is we've used AI, these modern AI techniques, to actually be able to predict conversions and then get to the place where we can hyper-target who are the people who are going to convert. Now, we use that for our marketing. Like if I want to grow WhatsApp in the United States, I buy ads on Meta. But we also use it for our clients, obviously. So I'd say that's the single most important place, is getting the AI to improve the ranking and get to the hyper-targeting that's going to show the right ad to the right person at the right time. The second place where it's used very, very heavily by our clients today is over 4 million people are using AI to generate creative. Places where that's very useful are taking a creative that's useful for one format, let's say horizontal, and expanding the background to make it work for a vertical placement. That's a really tactical one, works incredibly well. Those sort of use cases of taking AI and taking a piece of creative and making it better are right now in the foothills of their capabilities. You can imagine a future where the creative is going to be perfect for every individual. And so we've got 4 million people using creative tools today. We use them. We think that'll be the next sort of big one that'll expand further. So those two.
Can you give me an example of horizontal and vertical? What are these tools you're talking about?
Yeah, so one of the crazy things that's been very effective for me in business marketing, so our marketing to businesses, is when you do a video placement, you want to have it shot in vertical format, not horizontal format. You want it to have sound on, not sound off. And so many clients still just upload a static image that is shot in horizontal format into the Reels ad placement. And it just doesn't work. You have to be native. And the first part of being native is to be in that 9:16 format, the shape of the phone. And so that's what I mean about taking like your horizontal ad that might be for newsfeed and putting it into the format that people are using when they're looking at stories or Reels.
Thank you. Xu, in the real world, the companies are providing a multitude of tools. Are there any risks using AI tools in marketing, be it in product, price, or promotion, in segmenting or targeting the consumers? Is that working perfectly all the time, or are there risks and challenges?
So whenever there is a new technology kicks in, there is always a lot of risks, and also it draws a lot of attention from the regulations. I think the first fundamental thing is about the data privacy and data security, because in order to kind of utilize that AI effectively, the first very important thing is to have a lot of data and high quality data. But in order to get those data clearly, before a lot of regulation like GDPR, a lot of advertisers or companies out there, they're collecting the individual level data without user consent. But in the recent years, with this kind of user empowerment in their data privacy and with the regulation, clearly there is a stringent requirement on what kind of data that the company can collect and what is a right to the customer when they want their data to be deleted, and when and under what scenario those data can be used to target those consumers. So I think it's all on the right track, but over time, it's going to take some time to get everything sorted out and then to fully implement it. So that is the first thing about the data privacy and security. And the second thing I would say is it's a bias. It's a potential bias. For the bias problem, I mean, there can be discrimination happening as a result of the AI model, but typically it's not a result of the algorithm per se, but it's because of the training data. Because when you think about the algorithm output, we need to have two component. One is the algorithm, and then the other is the data input. The algorithm is maybe gender neutral or other kind of neutral. There is no discriminatory algorithm there. But the problem is the data comes from the real world. And then in real world, a lot of training data, they are biased. As a result, they fit into the algorithm, and then the outcome is going to be biased. So currently, I guess Meta is also working a lot on that front, how to kind of train the algorithm or adjust the algorithm to debias those training data that enter into the algorithm.
I think you're raising a very important point. Algorithmic discrimination is a big issue, but you also mentioned regulation, and I'm sure Meta has a lot of views on the differences between regulation in Europe and in the United States. The change now with AI is it's very hard to investigate the algorithm itself, right? Previously, Europe has taken this view that we need to introduce Digital Services Act, open the algorithms to researchers, so we can actually look at the algorithms and investigate how they actually work, whether algorithm itself is biased or non-biased. But now with AI, with LLMs, it's very hard to figure out what the model actually does. Meta has produced an open source model, Llama, which is, of course, a very welcome contribution to the society. But overall, how, Alex, do you view this qualitative shift to LLMs from algorithms which are readable and analyzable to LLMs which are much harder to comprehend?
Yeah, I mean, I think actually the complex systems were hard to understand before, and we were kind of fooling ourselves. There's this great book, Normal Accidents. Do you know it? It's about the Challenger disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And it points out that like every accident is about a very, very complex system.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like where we were before in terms of thinking that we could understand how everything worked was incorrect. So when I look at both the LLMs that exist today, the generative AI, and I look at, say, our content moderation classifiers, right? That's two places where the DSA is very active. I analyze them the same. I look at the outputs and what actually happens. And what I do is I take two things with my analytics team. We have golden sets, so certain pieces of content where we know what the decision should be made that is by the algorithm we're applying to it, whether it's traditional ML, whether it's scaled reviewers, or whether it's generative AI. And I also do expert review of decisions. So we take it and we run it through either of those three things, historic algorithms, scaled review, or generative AI algorithms. And then we assess, do the experts agree with the decisions that were made for each of those? And then we do those analyses on things like gender bias, on things like race bias. And there's really interesting pieces of this because there's an intersection here with the privacy laws and the laws protecting people and our ability to measure and analyze. So for example, on race, there are ways that are academically pure and agreed that are good to analyze on race. A mixture of last name and DMA in the United States is the preferred approach, and that's the approach that we use. There are other ways that are not. So just using an AI to predict someone's race is not considered, an appropriate way to look at this because it might use data you don't want it to use. So there's a lot of complexity here, but fundamentally what you want to do is you want to do expert review of the outputs according to the variables on which you want to have no bias or you want to debias and see how each of the different systems performed. And the last point I make with that is, again, to echo something you said, humans are fallible. So again, looking at content reviews, somewhere I've been very deep in the last week, we are finding that humans make mistakes when you compare scaled review to expert review. Humans make mistakes at a relatively high rate, especially when you're looking at, unclear decisions, say someone wearing a skin-colored bathing suit versus someone being naked. Like, people make decisions on that kind of thing. And we have to remember that when we look at these complex systems. The generative AI can actually outperform and reach superhuman levels of performance when it gets expert training data. And I worry a little bit that we get ourselves tied up in knots about, we can't analyze the algorithm, when what we really need to do is analyze the output and compare it to how good humans would be at that task.
Just for our audience, I would like to mention that Challenger disaster was the space shuttle disaster, which was eventually caused by what's called O-ring, a small ring which did not function under cold temperatures. And the problem was caused by the fact that the launch was delayed, so temperature was different from what was supposed to be. And this small piece of equipment caused the death of several astronauts, and this one of the biggest disasters in the history of space exploration. So AI is transforming marketing strategies. In every element of a marketing strategy, you have AI having an impact. How do companies in practice become AI ready in their digital marketing? Sure.
So I think the first thing is to think about the data. Because as I mentioned, for most of the companies right now, AI tools is widely available. It's the same across all. But then what makes a company stands out is their first-party high-quality data. And then talking about first-party high-quality data, even though the phrase sounds very simple, but in order to get that data is not easy. There are a couple of challenges. The first one is when we think about the data structure, let's first think internally. There are different silos of the data being stored within the company. So when we think about maybe the online sales data, it may be stored with their e-commerce system. When we think about like inventory data, maybe it's with the ERP system. When we think about like the marketing data, maybe it's with the CRM system. And all those different data pieces are being controlled by different departments within the company. So the very first thing for a company to do is to kind of find a way to standardize all those data and then link those data to come up with a consolidated data set. But that is just, maybe that's an easy thing to do because everything is still under control within the company. But what is trickier is actually linking all those external sources together. With regard to like consumers' different touch points outside of the company's control. For example, like a lot of advertisers are running ads on Meta, Instagram, Facebook. At the same time, they're running ads on Google. Yeah. But then Meta provides them the data from Meta, and then Google provides the data from all the search engine or YouTube or Google Maps. I mean, it can be the same consumer going through all those different multiple touch points. But at the end of the day, how you are able to link the data, the ROI that the Meta gives to you with the ROI number that Google gives to you together, that's not an easy thing. So that is why right now we see a lot of companies, what they want the consumers to do is to, every time they interact with the company, they're kind of logging in, either using the QR code or like on the app or like just register in certain ways to get certain points back. The reason that those companies are trying to do that is to link the individual consumer across a different touch point so that they can get the high quality first party data to feed into that AI system to get the insights.
Alex, how do your clients handle those issues and how do you help them to become AI ready in their marketing?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what you just shared. It's all about the data. It's about structuring the data and sending it across to in a privacy protected way. So you follow the actual like getting people to give you purpose use for the data. But like, yeah, I mean, the most important thing is how do you implement all of the different tracking codes? How do you do them simply and consistently so the data is coming across to the companies where you're buying from? How do you have a good data store on your own side? So how do we help the companies? We offer different ways to implement it, right? You can send us asynchronously data. You can send us data server-side. You can use consistently the classic pixel and cookie tracking. We offer all three ways to pass the data across. You can append information to the data. So we're behind Google, but we've got it now where you can append value to a conversion action and not just the conversion action. Like we tactically let you add that metadata to the data that you're sending across to us, the conversions and so on, and let us optimize. In terms of cross-channel tracking, that is hard. That one, I think, is both from a competitive perspective, but also from a privacy perspective, a place where we're not going to get to an easy solution in a hurry. The way that we look at it is that the best thing you can do is incrementality testing. You can actually do a holdout, do a pre-post test depending on the product. We offer holdouts at the user level. We think randomized controlled tests are the right way to do this. And because you've got a holdout, you can see the uplift for running the marketing on that channel. That's a lot harder with search. Search doesn't let you do user level holdouts. So for search, I typically do regional holdouts, and I advise clients to do regional holdouts. And what I do then is I see the value of search when I hold it out versus don't run it. I did this fun thing where I switched off all of our marketing in India on search and saw the impact. And it was great because the head of Facebook app saw the impact too, which meant I kept my budget for next year. But we do those holdouts, and then we do the same ones, but user level holdouts on buying off social media platforms. And we use those to give the weights to our models for the media mix modeling. And we use that to attribute to the different channels the value that they brought. So structured data across with as much appropriate metadata appended as possible via whichever of the three routes is the right one for you. And then proper testing to get to incrementality to really understand the value of the different channels is the advice we give to consumers, and we think that's right, and too much focus on the internet is on post-click tracking and not enough on incrementality testing.
So we live in an unprecedented time of rapid technological change. AI is moving every week. Every week we see new models being unveiled, and that of course also means that AI-based marketing also has to change. What is the future of AI in marketing? Do we see new agents, new tools appearing? How do we prepare ourselves for what's coming up? Sure.
I mean, I'm going to echo what Alex said earlier. The first thing I think for all the companies out there is don't chase after shiny objects. It's like AI is the hot topic. Everyone is talking about it now. It doesn't mean like you need to adopt AI on every single marketing function that you have. So the very first thing is to have like a systematic review on what are the functions within the company you want to outsource to AI, and what are the things that you want to keep the decisions in-house. Because I mean, I don't think AI development has reached a stage where it can completely replace the human inputs. So that's not going to happen anytime soon. So I think that's the very first thing to think about, like measure the outcome to see what is incrementality, and then to decide which ones to outsource. And then coming back, when it comes to AI, data is always important. So make sure that the company is collecting and using the data in a way that is consistent with like the regulation requirement. I think those are the important things.
The thing I'd add is there was this great interview with Sam Altman on 20VC, another British podcast, where him and Brad, their COO, were interviewed, and Sam said, "If you build for where AI is today, we'll bulldoze you. You need to build for where the puck is going to." And so I think the really important thing for preparing your marketing function and preparing your business for the transformation is to actually listen to the leaders in the space, because they go out and they say what they're building next. It's reasoning. It's agentic. It's like these hyperscale data centers to get intelligence to the next level. Like, there are very clear things they're having conversations about that they're doing. So the only thing I'd add is you need to make sure that you prepare for where the puck is skating to and what you need to do to be ready for that moment, rather than just optimizing for where we stand today.
Can I ask a question about what we just talked about running randomized controlled trials online? This is a key part of marketing professionals' toolkit. Myself, as a scholar, I also ran RCTs online. And the question is, will we see AI agents doing that for us? Will we automate marketing research, theoretical, applied, professional marketing studies automated by AI agents anytime soon?
I think there's two answers to that. The first is about using them to run the trials. The second is about using them in the trials. So I think what's very, so yes, in answer to your question, yes. I think what's really interesting is we've actually been doing some stuff where we've been using AI agents to respond to creative, to respond to things as if they're people. And because they're trained on human data and they are reinforced, we can actually do experiments with AI agents to tell us how humans are going to behave to certain inputs to make our iteration faster. So I think for sure, trafficking a randomized control test absolutely sounds like the sort of thing that within 5 years AI agents should be able to do. But what's also cool is they can simulate the real world and allow you to run experiments in the lab and get reasonable results to refine your tests before you put them out in the real world.
We already have AI-written papers published in journals. But what you're saying is indeed scary for some people who no longer are confident that when I put forward a test on a platform like Qualtrics or Cint, I'm not sure that the humans are actually humans, because there are also bot farms that click on those experiments at a very low cost, getting this business model where you pretend to be human but use AI to participate in online tests.
Everything you're saying, I mean, we're talking about the positive here.
Mm-hmm.
In every case, a tool is just a tool, and every single tool can be used adversarially. So we're in the same place, right? We're finding spammers. It's an arms race. Like, we are fighting with spammers. We're fighting with, unfortunately, government bodies. We're fighting with all kinds of different organizations who are using AI for ill as well as good. So yes, it will be used, unfortunately, as a tool aggressively in the other direction. And agentic behavior will make that more and more likely. The thing is, there's a really, in general in this arm race, I think the good guys are winning. Like in general, like we're finding AI is making our platforms safer, not less safe. AI is allowing us to make decisions quicker and find harmful content. And by the way, find non-harmful content and clear it out of our reporting queues quicker. And so I'm very hopeful that we will actually be in a better place because of AI and fighting the bot farms. But you're right, they exist and they are using the tool.
You agree that disclosure, transparency of using AI tools in post-creative content, that is a good way forward. So customers maintain their trust in products because they see whether it's a human experience, authentic human experience, or it's AI-generated video.
Yep, and I think it's complicated because Photoshop already means that you're not seeing completely real humans all the time in magazines and online. So I think the line of where you disclose, I think, is actually very complicated. The idea of disclosure, 100%.
Thank you. So to summarize, we had an exciting conversation about AI today and in the future. And what Alex has said is very important. As AI is changing rapidly, we need to look forward at what is happening right now and where the buck will be, not where it is now, as Wayne Gretzky once said, who still holds the record of NHL, but maybe caught up by another hockey player. It's like 7 goals gap as we speak. So Wayne Gretzky famously said, I have to be where the buck is going to be. And in 2025, that means agentic models, that means reasoning models. We talked about ethical issues, and we talked about the need to be transparent in using AI. And Alex correctly said that it's very hard actually to draw a line where AI is used, is not used, what is genuinely human, what is edited. And since AI is now touching every bit of marketing strategy, every bit of marketing action, it's actually very hard to disclose every intervention of AI agent in today's marketing work. So we are in a very interesting place. Let's hope that the good guys will win.
They will.
Alex is optimistic. I think this has been a very exciting conversation. Thank you very much, Xu and Alex.
Thank you.
As usual in this podcast, I close with a question to the guests. Thinking ahead, what's one actionable step individuals or businesses can take today to stay competitive in the world where AI is transforming marketing? Sure.
Invest in high quality first party data collection because that's the backbone of any effective AI applications.
You've stolen my answer. That's the perfect answer. Buy my book. No.
That's actually a good piece of advice.
Actually, I mean, I do actually cover it quite heavily in the book. Yeah, I think look for where the puck is going to, as the famous Wayne Gretzky once said. You have to go, in my opinion, and educate yourself from leaders like Mark Zuckerberg on our side, Jan LeCun on our side, people like Sam Altman as leaders in the industry, Dario from Anthropic. Listen to what they're saying. They are telling you where the puck is going to. Believe them.
Thank you, Xu and Alex. And now I would like to turn to you, our listeners and viewers. I would like to ask the same question. Please share your views on how your organization is transforming and adapting in this world where AI has an impact on all aspects of marketing. Please leave your comments on Spotify or YouTube. And don't forget to use the hashtag ThinkAhead. Follow and subscribe so you never miss an episode of our podcast. For more thought leadership from our faculty and to stay updated on upcoming Think Ahead events, visit london.edu/think. This podcast is part of the Second 60 London Business School's 60th anniversary initiative, where we are tackling 6 global challenges that are shaping the future of business.